Hi folks, I'm going to do a quick football video about Man United. Yes. There's a lot of people doing it. I mean, no, I've said before, channels like United Stand, yeah, basically the whole channel is about the woes of Man United. Yeah. So, okay. What I'm going to be talking about is a solution that if the people at the club have any wisdom at all, they will do this. I saw earlier that they are suggesting that they will let Eric Bailly leave for free this summer, even though he has a bit of time left, because they know they can't sell him, so they might as well, rather than pay him, just let him go. Because otherwise you've got to pay him wages, right? Well, to me, why not just let Maguire go? Why not just let Van der Beek go? Yeah, Brandon Williams. And all the others that just aren't good enough. Yeah, and won't be good enough. Let them go. Because the club is awful at selling players. Yeah, they've been trying for weeks and weeks to sell players. They've sold no one. Absolutely no one. They were trying to sell Bailly, couldn't sell him. They were trying to sell Van der Beek, they couldn't sell him. I think they managed to sell Fred, but that was for a pittance of what he's actually worth. I think they sold him for about 15 million. And this is a Brazil international. 15 million. You know, Chelsea are selling players left, right and centre. So Man City. Players that barely played a game in the Premier League, they're selling. And they're selling for more than what United sold Fred for. Yeah, the people in charge at United, they've done an awful job with regards to contracts. They've given players way too high a contract. Certainly with regards to the weekly wages and the bonuses and all that. Well, if they're not going to sell them because they can't, all that's going to happen is the likes of McTominay, Van der Beek, Maguire, what's that? Well, loads of youngsters as well, are just going to at best sit on the bench. But the manager doesn't want to bring any of them on. Ilanga was the other one I was thinking about, the young one. Yeah. Ilanga was one of these players that everyone thought would be, the big new thing, like they think Garnacho is now. Garnacho won't be that. He won't. He's got a certain degree of pace, a certain degree of skill, but he hasn't got it up in his head. He hasn't got the tactical or the technical know-how. And if he hasn't got it now, he won't. Because if it's not there, the problem is that most players, if they're not naturally talented, they have to work incredibly hard. But the problem is, at idiot clubs like Man United, what did they do in the summer? They gave Garnacho a 5-year contract. Beginning of the end of last season, they gave him a 5-year contract, which means he doesn't have to work now. He's got exactly what he wanted. He's got a 5-year contract. He now doesn't have to work anymore. It's ridiculous. If at any firm you gave an employee who had done a reasonably good job, because that's all Garnacho did last season, a reasonably good job. He wasn't explosive. Now, were other clubs knocking down the door trying to get Garnacho from United? No. Which means he wasn't doing that good a job last season. He did well for his age, right? That's what people say. Well, for his age, he did good. Yeah, but you're putting his age into it, which means he didn't do good, really. So, yeah, he didn't do good. You give him a 5-year contract. In any other business, the management would be thrown out for doing that. They would. The owners would be looking at the management saying, you don't know what you're doing. You're just giving this person who's barely done his job over the whole thing. Yeah, because coming on a sub and making a difference with opposition having tired legs is not really signs that you're a player that should be given a bumper 5-year contract, is it? Well, it shouldn't be. Not for a management as its head screwed on. So Garnacho is likely to be another player they won't be able to sell. So what they need to do is start again. They need to rebuild. But the problem is they can't rebuild if they still have these players in and they're paying their wages. If you're paying £140,000 a week for Maguire, you're paying £80,000 a week for Van der Beek. McTominay will be on about 75,000, probably a bit more, about 120,000. All that over the year, that's costing the club a lot of money for players who just are going to sit on the bench and not play. Let them go. Have a chat with them. Just, I would be, if I was in charge, I'd be ruthless. I said that you're going to be in the under 18s, or you can leave now for free. But that means there'll be no payoff. Your contract will simply end. Which means that you can go to any club and you can negotiate and you can keep all the money from the transfer fees and you can have a big payoff and you can go and do that. I do that because if you want to rebuild, then sometimes you're going to knock it down to rebuild. And that's the reality with a lot of parts of the squad. They need to be knocked down. Because it's like having a building where there are parts of the building that are unusable. Yeah. If they're unusable, it means they need to be completely replaced. Rather than, you can't just go in and put a little bit of paint on the wall and they'll be absolutely fine. If they're unusable, it means there's major issues there. But that means most likely you're going to have to knock that part down and rebuild it. Well, with these players, the equivalent of that is just to let them go. And I think for the players, it's the best thing. I think for the fans, it's the best thing. I think for the club, it's the best thing. The club's going to take a hit, but they're going to take a bigger hit anyway if they just keep the players and they have to let them go on a free anyway. Which is quite likely as to what is going to happen. So, yeah. They should just let them go. You can't move on until you move them out. And if you can't sell them, there's only one option. Well, loaning them is another option, but they're still on your books and they come back and you're going to try and deal with them next year. Let them go. Because quite often loaning them, you're still paying some of their wage and they're not even playing for you. So, yeah, let them go. It makes more sense. So there you go. I'll leave it to it. You take care. God bless. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.